Chapter 2. The Situ Family. And what happened after that? Yinju wasn't allowed to leave the cottage. Even though she always wore the omega ring to suppress her scent, her father was still worried that she would end up attracting the attention of an alpha mistakenly, so he never permitted her to leave the house. Yinju, who had never left the house, often found the tales that her sister told her rather amusing, even though they might be nothing but normal to the others. What else? Yin Xia replied with an eye roll as she washed the rice that Yinju dropped on the floor. They weren't poor, but they weren't well-to-do either. Wasting the rice that had been dropped on the floor by throwing it away was something they would never do. The eldest master didn't say a word about him messing with the dresses of his sister. It wasn't until the third master, who got fed up with all the screams and loud noise, told his sisters that it wasn't the maids but their eldest brother who tricked them all. Only then did the mistresses let the laundry maids leave. A good thing, too, or else I and poor Yan Yu would have to wash all the clothes today. Yan Yu was her sister's friend and worked in the Bloodlock family with her. The eldest master did not apologize to the maids, asked Yinju, and her sister, who had just poured the dirty water out of the drain, laughed out loud. Apologize? My dear Juju, it seems that you have the very wrong idea about the nobles. They never apologize, especially not to betas and omegas. After all, we are God's creations to serve the alphas. In their eyes, we are their servants, and they are our masters. Why would they apologize to their slaves? Yin Xia rolled her black hair that was cascading over her shoulders and then tied it into a bun as her golden eyes flicked over the stove. She snapped her fingers, and a flame was ignited in the mud stove. Her sister did it ever so easily, while Yinju spent an hour and a half playing with the things everyone called matchsticks to light the fire. But that is wrong, is it not? Said Yinju as she watched her sister twiddle with the fire burning in the stove. I mean, Daddy always tells me that I should apologize when I am wrong. Well, people like us who cannot afford to offend anyone have no other choice, do we? Yin Xia smiled as she replied before pushing herself off the floor, picking up a clean pot filled with water and placing it on the stove. You should not pay attention to the actions of the nobles so much. The more you find out about them, the more you will realize that they are people you should stay away from. Yinju did not doubt her sister's words as she got up from the bed and clapped her hands. Sister, since you are cooking, I should go and wash the dishes. She did not like sitting still when her sister was working so hard. No, wait. Yin Xia, who was busy pouring the rice, turned to look at her sister immediately when she saw that the latter was going to wash the dishes. She wanted to stop her, knowing Yinju and her clumsy hands and feet. Yin Xia was sure that she would break a plate or two, but she seemed to have thought too far ahead. Because Yinju didn't even make it closer to the wash basin where the dirty dishes were. Instead, she went sprawling on the floor after taking a couple of steps forward. Yin Xia Yinju. My dear little sister, you really worry me sometimes. Yin Xia sighed as she helped her sister up from the floor. Her gaze dipped to the bleeding knees of Yinju, and she shook her head. I am glad that you haven't been selected as anyone's maid yet, or else you would have been caught up in big trouble. The least you can manage is walking on your feet properly, can't you? That's the basic survival skill. Yinju pushed herself off the floor and then pushed her silvery bangs out of her face as she puffed and said in a whiny tone, You should complain about this to Mother. Of all things that she could have given me, she gave me her clumsiness. Well, if I see her ever again, then I would tell her about it. Their mother had left their father when they were very young. They did not know what or who she was. All they knew was that she was a very beautiful woman. At least that was what their father told them. Yinju rolled her eyes. Her sister wasn't upset with their mother's actions of abandoning them. She, on the other hand, had kept a grudge against her mother, and she would be keeping the status quo no matter what happened in the future, even if her mother were to come and apologize to her. There was a knock on the door just as Yin Xia took a first aid box from the cabinet over the stove, and Yinju's eyes widened with glee as she ignored the pain in her knees and rushed to the door. "Daddy is back." Her father was a worker in the Bloodlock family, just like her sister, but he worked as the assistant of the master of the Bloodlock family, which was why he was often late. But no matter how late he would always bring something sweet for her and her sister to eat. "Daddy, you are back." "What did you bring, too?" She did not get a chance to finish her sentence, for Yinju's gaze fell on her father's face. He looked solemn, and from the heavy dark circles that he was sporting under his eyes, it was clear he was tired as well. Maybe Yin Xia sensed that something was wrong as well. She placed the first aid box on the bed and came to the door of the house. She took one glance at her father's heavy expression, and her heart skipped a beat as she asked, "What's wrong, Daddy? The Situ family has asked for Yinju to start working for them." Subscribe for Chapter 3.